What is up, YouTube? This is Carla at Carla's Career Shortcuts and Coaching. Today, we are going to talk about the top 21 tips that will help you out in an interview. So I know sometimes we go on an interview that we can be a little bit nervous. We might not know what to expect from a job. So, really, the number one tip to do is do your research. Look into the company that you're looking for. Take a couple of days beforehand to look around at the environment of what the job is like, the job description, and even what others are saying about this job. So Glassdoor is a great place to look when you're looking for reviews, interview type questions, and really preparing for what it may be like. So definitely research the company. Make sure that you also research the particular job title. Although you may have had a particular job before, the responsibilities may be a little bit different. So you might want to look into this particular job or a company. I recommend Glassdoor. I also recommend looking on Indeed. They do have an area on there where you can kind of search, and salary.com to kind of give an idea for salary and a couple of job descriptions. Next, we have that you're going to practice. Yes, practice. Number two is practice. So, what do I mean by that? You're going to practice some of the answers that you think you may get in questioning during an interview. For instance, tell me about yourself. So you want to make sure that you're telling them about yourself, but about yourself as it pertains to the job. When they say, tell me about yourself, they don't want to know where you're going vacation, where you live, what you like to do. No, telling you about yourself is definitely looking into those things that you may have in your resume or things that are not on your resume that you want to explain to them that makes you the best candidate. So if I were going per se, let's say for a medical records job, I have over 20 years experience. So if they were to say, tell me about yourself, I would say, well, I worked in the medical field at 25 years, working in administration and documentation, working with patient medical records, manual and electronic. I was mainly responsible for scanning in the records, ensuring that everything remained private, and ensuring that I did the job efficiently. So this is definitely something that you need to work on when you're getting those interview questions. Practice what you are going to tell them about yourself as far as the job. Not about your kids, not about your husband. Even though it may be okay to answer those, you really want to tell them about yourself in the context of the job. So, our number three tip would be make sure that you reread the job description. Reread it, really look at the technical skills. What type of computer skills is it asking for? If you have those, be prepared to mention them. If you've worked in a certain type of business or office environment, then let them know that as well. As you're reading through the job description, you will find things that you become familiar with, and you'll be able to associate your actual skills to the job description. Number four is going to be practice these with a friend or a family member. You're going to have them interview you. Have them look at the job description with you, and based on your answers and you telling them about yourself, they can get a gauge of how well you've done. Even if your friend is not that great at determining what's going on, as far as what's good interview, what's not, at least you will have had some practice in doing these skills, and practicing makes perfect. You're also going to prepare, number five, a list of references. People who can attest to your professionalism. Maybe there's a community organization you've worked for, a religious organization. Volunteering does help. If that volunteering has some sort of skill set where you have organized, used a computer, dealt with certain people in a large or small capacity, one-on-one, in a group setting, you've planned or put together some sort of event, all of those things are important. So list references, people who can attest to your skills, previous supervisors and managers to have ready to share. The next one I'm going to go into is you want to make sure that you prepare references for your employer. Yes. Number 6 is prepare those references. Make sure, what I mean by preparing, call your references and let them know what type of job you're going for, the types of skills you let them know about, and how it relates to the job. So really reaching out to your references definitely helps. Make sure, and number 7, that you have prepared examples of your work. What do I mean by that? If you've organized something digitally, ensure that you have a link or a digital resume, digital project that you can show them. If you've worked in the medical field and you've achieved any sort of certificate or certification, that is great. If you've worked in the business field and you've led a project and you've received an award or a seminar that you presented to a group of people, give them an example of that seminar and what you had to do to prepare for that particular seminar. We have really some things that people forget to do is during an interview when they ask, do you have any questions? So number 8, do you have any questions? The answer should always be yes. You want to know what a typical day is like in the office. So number 8, what is a typical day like in this office? What am I expected to do? What are my team members like and how do I work with them? Is this an individual low type of supervisory job, or will you be working in the context of a group on group projects? So really asking what the job entails. It is okay to ask about what a salary is for a position and expectations as well, because it lets them know that you're really interested in the job and you're really interested in working for their company and really exhibiting the best skills. So if you want to know more about the types of questions you can ask an employer, my next video will be top questions that you can ask during an interview. So make sure you tune in for that next video if you're looking for the types of questions you should be asking your employer. Number 9 would be prepare your outfit or your business attire before the interview. Do not wake up that morning and think about what you're going to wear. You want to get yourself in that proper mind frame. This is what I'm going to wear. Know what you're going to feel good in. Make sure you try it on. Make sure you feel important. You feel confident in what you are wearing. There's nothing like people on interviews that feel uncomfortable. As I interview people, I can always tell when someone's uncomfortable in their clothing, how they're sitting, constantly closing their jacket because maybe their shirt is kind of ill-fitting. So really do make sure you prepare your outfit before, the night before your interview. So how are you going to remember your questions? Number 10, bring a notepad, a folder, something you can write with, and bring copies of your resume. Make sure that resume is not an old one. Make sure your resume reflects some of those skills in the job description. So you can remember your questions, you can remember any answers, write them down, and you can have extra copies of your resume. Having a copy of the resume yourself, as the employer goes over your resume and asks you questions, you can have a copy yourself of your own resume in your notebook or folder, and you can have some key skills written next to those jobs to help you remember. So that is a really, really good tip. My favorite one. I get nervous on an interview and I have to write questions down or my mind goes blank at what I did at my last job. So I keep a copy of the resume myself with notes on it for me so I can remember what I did, key points I don't want to miss. And I'll give my interviewer a copy of the resume as well. So that way we can be on the same page when they are reviewing our resume. Plan ahead. Plan ahead. And number 11, plan your route to the employer. Even though it may be 15 minutes away, the time that you're going, it might take you 30 minutes. If you live in a state like I do that could get really congested, a place that literally normally would take me 10 minutes during rush hour may take me 30 minutes. So plan your travel, make sure you get there at least 10 to 15 minutes ahead of time because that is really, really important. With some jobs that are a little farther away, I literally go a couple of days before to see where it is, see what traffic patterns there are, if any streets are closed. So that way I know on the interview day, I will get there just fine and have plenty of time to spare. Number 12, make a great impression. You do not want to go in with stains on your clothes. So try not to drink coffee or have it fall on your clothing. Try not to eat anything particularly spicy. I've had people who interviewed and I can literally tell what they had for breakfast or that they had a mishap in the car and I don't judge, people on those things. But sometimes an interviewer might. Make sure your shoes are shiny. Make sure there's no holes in your clothing because it does make a difference for making a good first impression. You want to make sure that you can present as a professional to this business or work environment. Number 13. Number 13 is a very, very important. Lucky number 13. Every person you come across, make a good impression to that person. If you walk by someone, speak and say hello, make good eye contact. I can tell you how many interviews I've had, and I've gone to people in the office afterwards and said, well, what was your impression of them in the waiting room? Some will say, oh, they were pleasant, or it's great to have here. Some would also say to me, well, they didn't even speak to me. They just asked me where the office was, and that's it. There was no hello, there was no have a good day, there was nothing like that. So you want to make the people in the company that you're interviewing for feel as though that you would be comfortable there, that you feel welcome there, and that you're glad to be there. So sometimes interviews are lost at that point where someone is nervous, they're not making eye contact, they don't speak to the front desk, and when they walk by, they ignore. So really, if you see someone in the hallway on an interview, keep a positive mind frame, say good morning, good afternoon, how are you? Hold the door open, excuse me, after you. Things like that, employers do notice, especially the staff who will look and say, oh, who was that? That was a very nice person that came in. That really does weigh huge on the decision if you are great to work for their company. So, body language. We're going to talk about body language. Number 14, make sure you practice good body language. If you're like me, I'm a mover. I like to move around a lot. I'm very animated. So it takes a lot for me, even on an interview, to kind of calm it down a little bit. Sometimes too animated is too much, but having your arms crossed or really kind of holding to yourself or tapping is seen as nervousness. Even too aggressive of a handshake. I know, who thought a handshake could be aggressive? But after reviewing and speaking with some career developers and HR professionals, an overly hard handshake can be seen as aggressive. No eye contact is seen as not having any confidence. So, definitely when it comes down to your body language, make sure you're smiling, looking at someone. If someone is listening, lean in, kind of nod as if you're understanding. Don't look all around. Don't play with your jewelry or your hair. Yeah, those are not the best things to do on an interview, because you really want to let them know that you're comfortable. I know some of you may fidget, but if you go back to some of the other rules, you get like a notepad and a pen. Maybe writing can get out some of the nervousness, maybe scribbling a little bit, or just really writing down a few keywords from your person that is interviewing you on this job for the position. So we have number 15. Authenticity and positivity. Even if you're looking for a new job because your previous job wronged you or you didn't have a great experience, let them know about the positive things. What did you like about the position? I loved my previous job, and some of the things I was tasked with doing, working one on one, was one of my favorite parts. And I really did enjoy the aspect of teamwork. We worked as a team together, getting and gathering others' ideas, and it really made for a great team exercise. Really let them know authentically what you like. Do not badmouth your previous job. Try to find all the positive things there. And if you really can't find any positive things there, the one thing that we know is positive is that you gained work experience. So talk about the skills that you've learned, things that you've learned about databases, workflow processes, and things like that. That way you can authentically tell your job, these are the skills I've learned. This is the part of the job I liked. And if they try to say or get you to talk negatively about the job, you're just going to let them know that you're looking to use your skills in a more positive way to really help your future employer. So, number 16, make sure that you respond to questions truthfully. If they ask you, do you have 10 years experience in a business office and you only have 5, don't say, yes, I have 10 years. Say, no, but I do have 5 years experience in a business office where I had various responsibilities, from business duties, helping the team, working in the mailroom. And I believe all of those sets of experience will add to my business office experience. So do not lie, tell the truth, and be honest. Employers can find out. I've had people tell me they've had 12 years experience, only to find out after reviewing and looking and calling references, and that was just not true. And even if the person was great and I thought they interviewed very well and could do the job with 2 years experience, some employers decide just not to hire because they've been lied to. So make sure you tell the truth and don't lie on your interview. So, number 17 is to tie your skills and experience to what the topic is at the moment. So, if you are looking at an answer like, well, tell me about when you've worked as a team, you are going to say, well, we've had a project previously where to work at a team that turned out to be really successful. Everyone worked together. My particular skills were to organize and document. I was able to document the skills by using an electronic server, the computer, or the cloud. Or I'm proficient in Excel and have made PowerPoints to assist the team in a project. So really incorporate your skills. What can you do? Not just I was a project manager and I managed a team of 20, but I was a project manager. I used multiple databases to enter data entry into the computer. I'm familiar with Microsoft Excel. I have created spreadsheets, use Outlook and Microsoft Office, or a management software to help manage my team. So you're really going to put those skills in there, technical skills, how you worked well with others when they're asking about what you've done for a particular job. So tie your skills in and your accomplishments in to those questions and those answers that you're going to give your prospective new employer. And number 18, keep your questions concise and focused. I'll give you an example. So I was asking one of my interviewees, how would you tell me your skills are in medical records? And she said, well, I do medical records, but sometimes I don't. And we used to have to scan them in. But really, we had a lot of paper in the office, and the office was a lot. The doctor actually had like 3 different rooms for his records. And I'm sitting there like, okay, okay. And she just went on and on for about 5 minutes. So I would have loved for her to answer. I'm really great with medical records, keeping things organized. I've worked in medical records since there was paper or manual entered records. And the medical records electronically, or EHR, really helped keep things concise and helped me be better organized on the job. That is concise and it is focused. It is to the point and it does focus back to the skills. Try not to ramble on and add things that were not asked, because sometimes the people that are listening are a little confused. Also, remember that people may be interviewing you for a medical position or for a scientific position, or maybe in some sort of business office, and they might not be well versed in your skill set or the types of skills you may have attained in that job. So this is a perfect time, an example for them to learn about you and for you to educate them about some of those key skills that maybe other interviewees haven't let them know about. So you can stand out by staying concise and focused on topics and skills. I have mentioned this one before, but it is a key step. Number 19, do not talk negatively about your previous employer. When you do that, jobs feel like, okay, regardless of if they're a great employee or not, they're going to do the same thing to us if they decide to leave. So if you did not like something about your last employer, put it out of your mind. Think of the things that you did like. Did you like working as part of a team? Did you like some of those responsibilities? And if you did not, mention the skills that you have attained. Everyone should be highlighting positive skills and things that they learned from a previous employer. I learned how to manage my time better. I learned how to work in a group or with a different software. I've learned how to organize in a different way. And I've also learned to work in a high stress environment where I knew that I could count on my team and or go to someone to ask, like a supervisor or manager. So do not talk negatively about your previous employer, because they might be calling your employer as well. So make sure that you don't do that, because it's just not good on an interview. Number 20. This is something I'm surprised that I don't get many people that will ask every now and again. If they do ask this, I am very impressed. So number 20, ask about the next steps. What are the next steps in the interview process? When will I expect to hear something about this position? You want to know what you can expect It lets them know you're excited to learn more and hear about the job, and you're anticipating a call back from the employer. So please make sure you ask, what are the next steps? Is there anything I should be doing in the meantime? Do you have any other information about your organization that I can review and read about you in the meantime? Many organizations will have like a brochure, an outline, and if they don't, you are now looked at as someone who's taking the lead in an interview. Keep in mind, an interview is between two people. It's not just someone who's asking you questions and you're answering. It is an exchange back and forth. So get used to asking those questions. What are the next steps? When can I expect to hear back from you? Is there any other information you could give me to read up on your organization or the prospective job title? Those are some great things to ask your employer. And last but not least, make sure you send a thank you letter or email. Thank you for the opportunity with interviewing today. I've learned a lot about your organization to include, and name one or two things that you've learned from the person that you interviewed with, and reiterate that you're excited to hear from them in the next couple of days. If they let you know it'll take about a week, then in that letter, I would say, I'm looking forward to hearing from you within the next week. So make sure you always reiterate. The employer will know that you were listening to them and everything went smoothly and great with the interview. You heard what they had to say, and you really took note of the importance of timing and really wanting to know when the job position is getting filled. Employers love that. So that is my list of 21 items. In my next video, I will be talking about those questions that you should be asking the employers once you get to the job. There are top 5 questions out there that you all should be asking. So if you're interested in that, please make sure you tune into my next video, which is going to be questions you should always ask on an interview. Also, make sure that you check out my comments and description for the links for some really helpful articles on the topic that I'm discussing on this 21 interview tips, as well as check out the links in the comments for other interview tips and videos. Thanks everyone for joining me today. My name is Carla with my new channel, Carla's Career Shortcuts and Coaching. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Take care, everybody.